All right, everybody, I want to wake you to a special edition of Conversation with a Cancer. I am your Cancer, and today is all about a childhood nostalgia thing of mine. A person who backyard wrestled, person who wrestled in school, person who wrestled with his brother, a person who wrestled with his sister's Barbie's dolls. Like I was a huge wrestling fanatic, a person who just loved wrestling until he got to college. But today is the WrestleMania episode of Conversation with a Cancer. This is episode 7, and I got a special guest with me today. I got a black man, a knowledgeable black man, someone that I met through Twitter, and we always just converse back and forth about different things. It's never the same things, and if it is, he just probably telling me I'm wrong, because sometimes I'll be just laser focused on my opinion. But I would just like to introduce Titty Jenkins. Titty, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, world? I am the one and only Titty Jenkins.
So first and foremost, I always like to ask my guests how they doing. So how are you doing on a Thursday evening?
I'm feeling good because I was off work today.
Oh,
I'm feeling good because I'm off work tomorrow.
Oh,
so you feel good. You feel great. You feel blessed. You you gotta deal with the little shit, but I ain't gotta wake up and go to work. So that's always a plus.
Right. It's a great way to get into your weekend, having 2 days off. So I'm feeling that.
Exactly.
I'm feeling that. So we kind of still in a pandemic, but people back outside. They back outside for real.
Right.
But so how have you been
I
getting
deal
along?
every day.
Oh, for real? So that's what in your field of work, that's what you deal with, people constantly like that?
Constantly. Like I'm not. It's no real secret. I work for a big box corporation, retail. So I deal with people. I deal with stupid people every day. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
so
sure.
I get people coming in. People come in my store, and they'll be like, "Where's your electronics section?" I'm like, I just like look around. What are you looking for? Because it's just the most stupidest question I ever heard when it comes to my job. Is like, where are your electronics? Like the whole damn store is electronics.
Right.
Let's just be real. Like, what are you looking for?
Right.
But with COVID, because I've COVID drove me crazy, but it was a blessing in disguise. So within COVID, I was able to buy a house. The house I'm living in now. I bought that, because I have twins and a gang of other children, through marriage. So we need a bigger space. During COVID, we was all on top of each other. Like early on, I'm like, okay, kids are at home trying to do homework. Where are they going to do it at? So I'm like, well, we got to get the hell out of this little small ass house. So, we found the house, moved in, did that, bought my first car. I had other cars I got from, passed down, but I bought my first car during COVID. So, I mean, COVID was a blessing in disguise of sorts, but it was also, it was fucking terrible because as a black man, you have these goals you want to accomplish when it comes to your family, and so like a couple of those goals I knocked out. Now I'm like, okay, well, what's next? And I still haven't figured out what's next, but the general, like I'm getting through that aspect, just moving on with life, trying to figure out what's next. That's because I feel like I'm succeeding in my main goals, and I'm providing for my family. My kids are happy. My kids are, they living good. They're living a good life. So I just try to figure out what's next for me as a black man, as a father, as a husband, and just everything. So because I fell into a depression, because of COVID.
Really?
Because I'm like, shit, what is really going on? Yeah, it was bad. I'm to be truthful, I'm still going through it, but I'm out the deep side of it.
Okay.
Because I took time off of work because I wasn't happy with my job at the time, and the job was a part of what was causing the depression. So with doing that, I realized, like, let me just get out this job and take that step. And I did, got out that position, took a pay cut, but now I don't have to wake up every day. I can go to sleep and not think about work. And that's the beauty of the whole thing.
That's very important, especially when you're dealing with any type of depression.
Yeah, dog, because like every day, with the line of work I was in IT with the same company I'm still with. I was in the IT department, so I was traveling. So I would leave, I'd be gone for, a week, couple weeks. I might come home, but it was just like talking to your children via FaceTime. It's not, my kids would be like, "Daddy, you in the basement?" I'm like, "No, I'm nowhere near, nowhere near home." And that just they're 2 years old, so I was like, yeah, I need to be home more. I need to take the stress off my wife more. So I made a decision to transition to another position, take a pay cut, but I needed my happiness more than the money. The money will come back. I know that. Some way, some shape or form, I'm gonna get that money back. But right now, it's just about, getting better and being happy. That's always number one. Let's be happy.
Hey man, you never have any idea what a person is going through, especially when you know them outside of real life. And so like,
yeah,
it's impossible to know that, but I think at some point everybody went through something through COVID. You had to, like, you're human, you're not doing your everyday routine, not doing your everyday life. So it's just, man, I'm glad that you're coming out of it though, because I couldn't imagine just not being able to function on the level I need to function, especially for people that I need to take care of on a daily basis. So I'm glad that you're finding a way to come through that, man. And I know that was a tough choice not a tough choice, but to take a pay cut. But sometimes I don't think people realize how much peace matters in and out of the household.
Exactly.
Like, it matters so much. Like, I have peace in my job. I want more, but I have peace. Like, I have total peace. I'm never stressed. I'm never depressed. I have peace, but I want more. So I can't imagine. I tell people all the time, do what you love, because if you don't, you're going to be sad. Either you make a lot of money or you do what you love.
Exactly. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to find what I love to do.
Okay.
So right now, while I'm in it, I'm just staying in this job because it gives me everything else, and like on a day-to-day, I'm good. Whereas if I was doing the job I was doing, I'd be miserable, and like, because I still talk to the people that I used to work with. They was in Michigan for like a month. They was in Indiana for like 3 weeks. I'm like, yeah, that ain't gonna work for me, Chief. And then like in the next couple of months, they about to be in Buffalo for like 3 months. I'm like, yeah, no, nah.
90 days? Are y'all allowed to come home when y'all go for 90 days?
Yeah, but it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of got to take turns in a sense. Like some people will be able to go home. I mean, like in Buffalo's a situation where it's not far. It's not too far. But like, I was in Dallas one time for a month. Of course I couldn't fly home. I had to stay in Dallas. But at the time I was single, so it was okay.
Right.
That's why I love the job. But if I was married and I had to be in Dallas for a month, I don't know if I would have came home to a house. I think my wife would have probably burned the bitch down or something.
We were almost neighbors, because you almost moved on my street when I used to live in Euclid. I don't live in Euclid anymore, but you almost moved on my street. So that would have, hey man, the world is small. I don't care what nobody say. The world is small.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So let's
right. Yeah, man, I'm still in Euclid, man.
That's good, man. I hope you stay. I miss Euclid, but I don't miss that Euclid doesn't have anything but food and highways, in my opinion. It's so much food and you have direct access to the highway. Euclid has nothing else.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's the main reason why we stayed in Euclid, because of the highway access. Because like with my job at the time, I was traveling. I'm like, I need to hop on the freeway real quick. But other than that, yeah, it ain't shit to do. It ain't nothing but food. I feel like I put on since the pandemic, I put on 30 pounds.
Oof. You still working out though?
Like, Nah, not as much as because remember the gym was closed for extended period of time, and then my kids were getting older, so I couldn't go to the gym late like I used to do it.
Right.
Because then I had still because I would go to the gym like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, then I'll get up at 7, 8 o'clock. But when my kids getting older, they get up at 6 o'clock, so I gotta be up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you need to sleep.
Right.
So I'm gonna figure out a time that's good for me and my kids to go work out.
Okay.
But it's also part of the depression that I wasn't motivated. So when you lack motivation, how are you gonna do something?
It took me a long time to get my motivation back because besides going to work and going to the gym, I would just come home during the pandemic. I would come straight home after work, or I would go to the gym and come straight home. I wasn't doing nothing for a while. But so you ever go to Baby D's on 185th by VA by St. Joseph?
Food from them.
Man, they chicken go and bang. I don't care nobody said they chicken wings bang.
It wasn't like because my wife didn't like it. I liked it, but I'm gonna buy all the time. I might have had a bad order, or I'm gonna give it another chance, but I just don't know when.
That makes sense.
But it's so much food, dog. It's so much food, and it's a dangerous game.
So much food. It's not even funny. Listen, bro. I used to eat so much over there. I used to go to the bakeries and stuff like that. But I kind of miss Euclid, but I'm closer to a lot more stores out here in Garfield Heights. But Garfield Heights ain't much better. It's just I got so much access to so many stores over here, though.
Yeah. I was saying South Side. I miss the South Side. I ain't gonna lie.
I used to live in
because I was saying most people I know.
Yeah, I used to live in Parma, and I thought Parma was the best place I ever lived because of the shopping out there. I can get to anything I wanted from at Parma. I felt like Parma was a hub, and you had Strongsville, North Royalton, and then you had Seven Hills, and I was just anything I wanted was in a 10 to 15-minute drive. That was perfect for me. But so let me ask you a question. I at 3 years old saw Hulk Hogan's racist ass slam Andre the Giant. At your earliest memory, when do you remember you discover wrestling?
Okay, so it's going to be a double-sided thing.
Okay.
So my first memory was flipping through channels and landing on HBO, and at the time they were doing like they were showing a WrestleMania. Don't know which one was, but I just remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming out with the 2x4 American Flag. But I didn't really watch it. I was young. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, flip to something else. But the time where I planned to see, randomly flipping through, it was a Saturday afternoon, evening, about 6:43, flipping through, and I turned to TBS. Okay. And Johnny B. Bad is on. Ooh. He's doing one of his promos. And, at the time, I didn't know who the hell he was. But I'm like, who's this little Richard looking dude? So I'm intrigued. So I'm watching. I sat there and watched, and then, kept watching. And next thing I know, my body, my mind is like, I need more. Where can I find this? So, there was no guide. I'm like, well, I don't know what this is. I think I went to wherever it was called before, the TV Guide station. I went and it said WCW Saturday night. All right, so that means I gotta watch this every Saturday. So after that, next weekend, 6:05 on the dot. To the Superstation, and I started watching, and ever since then, I was watching wrestling. It's weird that I started with WCW. I don't even know how I came to start watching WWF, but I think I figured through my friends, because I knew who Hulk Hogan was, but I mean, like, I didn't know where to watch him at.
Right.
Like 93?
I was going to say 92, because I don't know. I don't remember when he came to WWF, Mark Mero. I want to say 94, 95, because it was during the Raw era.
No,
Raw.
He came in 96.
Okay.
But he took a year off. So I feel like it was 93, 94 when I first saw him. He was acting like a good guy at the time. So That's what also, because looking back, like with the WWE network, you saw that he was a heel and then became a face. So he was a good guy, and so like that's what also. But yeah, it was the WCW Saturday Night, and I will never forget that unless I get Alzheimer's. But
which is all possible. But I remember him being there, and he definitely looked like Little Richard. My goodness, they had his face caked up like that for real. Because he did. He not unintentionally, he intentionally hit just the way his face is.
Right.
He looked like Little Richard, so they purposely caked his face up, made his facial hair like that. So yeah, man, I remember that too, because he used to wear them jackets that zipped up or something, had the little frillies on the side, and it was cut off.
Yeah, he had the boas.
Yeah. And I remember he used to do backflips off the top rope. I'm like, this dude talented as hell. I remember him. Yeah. My earliest memory is my brother, my oldest brother liked it. So I just naturally watched him. But the thing that got me was, I think that was WrestleMania 3, Andre versus Hogan. Was that 3? I think
I'm
so.
feeling like that was 3.
I think that was 3. And I was like, damn, he just slammed that big man. Like, that blew my mind. I was like, wow. Because when you're 3, you don't know what's real or fake. So
right.
I've always watched wrestling, but I think that's when I started paying attention. And that's when Hogan went into the Warrior thing. And
right.
I remember how Mr. Perfect captivated me with the spitting his gum and throwing stuff over his shoulder. I'm like, what? This is entertaining as hell. And then once your friends like the same thing you like, then you really get into it. So that's what it was for me, man. That was my earliest. So before we talk about WrestleMania, who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
It's one of those things, like as the older I get and the more wrestling I'm watching and the more I go back and then watch, it's always evolved. Because I'll have any other day you might catch me, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be Ric Flair. But then, there's gonna be days I'm be like, it's Ron Simmons. Because I might put in everything that he's done. So I mean, like I can't, then I might even say The Undertaker, because if I look back at my childhood, my mother bought me all the Undertaker figures. I do. I still got it. It's a talking Undertaker that says "Rest in Peace."
Wow.
It's huge, but I still have it. It's part of my collection. I might even say Vader. It evolves, it changes, because there's so many influential wrestlers to who I am that I can like, oh, that's my favorite. And, next day, maybe that's my favorite. I don't know who's my favorite because it's so many varieties.
So my quick thought on Big Van Vader. Not only was Vader amazing to me, but then I saw him on Boys Meets World. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, that was my first time outside of Hogan seeing somebody really cross over. Because I don't think I paid attention to The Undertaker being in Suburban Commando. As I got older, I'm like, oh shit, that's Mark. Like, but Vader was in Boy Meets World, and he was speaking, and he was doing backflips. I'm like, this dude is incredible. Like, that just blew my mind. But my top 2 wrestlers never changed. Once I got old enough, I just made a decision. Psycho Sid and Kurt Angle. And Psycho Sid, because I never seen a character like that. And Kurt Angle, just because he can wrestle anybody, any type of match, any type of style.
Yeah.
But Psycho Sid was the first wrestler that kind of made me scared and intimidated, and it made me worried about, like, whoa, like, this nigga really eater of worlds? He really out here crazy like that? Like, Sid had that personality. I was like, whoa, I was taken back by it. So those are my top 2. But after that, it gets really jumbled because there's so many greats.
Yeah,
I have to leave somebody out.
You got to, and that's like, one day I'm gonna sit down and really decide who is my favorite. And I mean, like, you know what? He's probably the worst actual wrestler, but I remember the most memories with him. Ultimate Warrior, just because as a child. I remember my mother, we went to some event and they had little warrior masks that you put on, And I thought it was Ultimate Warrior. I ran around the house, doing the theme music in my mouth, just doing that. And I just remember, like, just because of that energy that he brought every time to the ring, no matter what, no matter how far he had to run. I remember him running down the steps at the Trump Plaza at WrestleMania, like, dude, you're going to bust your ass.
Bruh, the Trump Plaza coming down the steps is my greatest WrestleMania memory because I always was like, that was incredible that y'all walked down all of them steps to wrestle. It must have been 50 to 80 steps. There was a lot of steps. And then was them old school hard carpet over like real concrete. But Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, and Ric Flair are the definitions of sports entertainment. When you talk about wrestling sports entertainment, them are my top three because that's what they did. Ric Flair and Macho Man were great wrestlers, but they entertained at a high level. Ultimate Warrior, like I said, he really couldn't wrestle, but he was shaking the ropes. Who thought shaking the ropes could change how you view wrestling? Like, so for me, that's it. But okay, so Saturday, Sunday. Well, before I get to that, did you ever think we would see WrestleMania on 2 nights ever in our lifetime? Like, I never even thought about that.
No, I didn't. I really thought Vince was going to just do it an all-day thing. So it was going to start at like 1.
Mm-hmm.
You had the pre-show at 12 and then go off until about 11, 12 o'clock. That's what I thought was going to happen because that's where it was trending to.
Yeah,
so
I thought maybe he would switch it to Saturdays, but I never thought he would figure out. And he only had to do 2 days because of the pandemic. The pandemic changed a lot of stuff. So that was wild for me. Yeah,
because New Japan, theirs is 2 nights. Wrestle Kingdom is 2 nights. So I mean, like, so for me, I'm like, oh, maybe that's why he's doing it. But in real reality, it's the pandemic, and you couldn't really put two because they were doing it in the performance center. So it was like, really, you want to do this for 8 hours? No, let's just shorten this shit.
Right.
I think it's the smartest thing he could do. It brought in so much money for Tampa last year. Brought in I think $100 million for Dallas. So I mean,
wow,
this is going forward is going to be the thing.
Yeah, and I'm proud. I mean,
the whole Saturday night pay-per-views was a smart thing, which he should have been doing in the first place. I mean, like, yeah, for us kids, it was great because as soon as that goes off, we ready to go to school and talk about it.
Right.
But you also had to realize children had to go to school the next day. So kids missed out on certain events, parts of it because it didn't go off until 10 o'clock. And, some kids had to be in bed.
Right. I'm glad he made the adjustment because I always feel like in my old age of 37 that Vince is in the way, but then he does stuff like that and you be like, Vince still got it. But all right, so let's get into it. WrestleMania 38 was Saturday, and we had 2, 4, 6, 7 matches on day one. So let's talk about the lows of day one. I wouldn't say there were any lows of day one. Okay, yes, I will. Seeing the guy get injured, like that was, you never want to see that, like, because we always think it's a shoot because we never know. And I didn't see them throw up the X, so I just thought like, oh, okay, well, he couldn't hold him.
Like,
both.
Yeah, I think he might have just pulled something.
Yeah, but to find out he tore something, like, dog, he held them both up there for at least 3 or 4 seconds before it tore. So speedy recovery to Rick, I think it's Rick Boogs or Rick Box. Hope you're able to come back. Rick Boogs, yeah. Other than that, I wouldn't say this is a low, but I was surprised that Charlotte didn't lose. Like, you build Ronda up to come back and be this thing, and then you have her lose to Charlotte. Like, they must really love Charlotte or really, however high prestige that Ronda didn't beat her for the belt. Those would be my only 2 lows. I even like the Corbin and Drew McIntyre. You knew McIntyre was going to win, but Corbin was able to entertain it long enough. So that would be my 2 lows of day one. What would be your lows for day one?
My number 1 low is the Ronda Rousey Charlotte match. Ronda hasn't really improved in her time being there. She's stayed the same. So it's kind of like, come on, you gotta improve at some point. Her promos, like the buildup of it, bothered me more than anything. That made it, I knew it wasn't gonna be a great match. I had moments where it could have been great, could have turned, for better, but it never really turned the corner. For me, I was already riding the high of Cody returning, and then I was already ready for Stone Cold and KO. So to me, I would put Charlotte versus Ronda after Cody, because that was that should have been the match before the main event. Charlotte and Ronda should have, because she won the Royal Rumble, should have been the main event, but it was a meh. That's all I can think. Yeah,
Ronda can't
like
wrestle.
it was a bathroom break.
She can't wrestle. Ronda has the same thing that happened to her in UFC is the same thing that's going on in WWE. She can't wrestle and she doesn't know how to adapt. She knows how to do one thing and one thing great. And that's, what's it, jujitsu or judo, whatever one she's great at. That's it. And they just keep letting her do it. And people have to carry her. Like, her promos are terrible. Like, I think her promos are worse than Bianca. At least Bianca's trying. Like, Bianca has personality, but she doesn't know how to deliver promos. Ronda don't have neither one of those. Neither.
So I love Bianca. If I have to knock her promos, it's not that she can't deliver, it's the fact that she has to be a face. She has to be nice. She has to smile. When she's a heel, we're going to see better promos. We're going to see what we really want from her. For me, I know if she's a heel, she'll be more relaxed and the promos are going to come off like that. And then, we'll get the hair whip all the time. I can't wait, when that heel turn finally happens in like 2 years.
Okay, so before we go to the high, you think they're gonna make Bianca go heel? Like, she's one of those people I think that always has to be a face. Like, I can't see it, but like how you describing it, that sounds great. But I can't see Bianca becoming a heel.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, when she was in NXT, she was a heel.
Oh,
she was a full-on heel. Yeah. So she has it. She has it. Like her and Montez. You make them heels to the moon. To the moon. I can't. I feel Montez has the potential to have the same trajectory as Shawn Michaels if pushed correctly. Because look, if you turn off everything else when he's on, look at him in ring. That boy bad.
I just was watching SummerSlam 2005, Michaels versus Hogan, and the way Shawn Michaels was selling Hogan, it was incredible. At one point, Hogan ran up to the turnbuckle, slammed his head on the turnbuckle. Shawn Michaels jumped on the bottom turnbuckle. When he slammed his head, he front flipped off. I said, oh my God. Like, the thought process is like, I got to sell everything his old ass do. Like, if Montez could do stuff like that, like you said, he's out of here. He's out of here.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you like this. About that match, Shawn did that out of spite. Everything, all the overselling was out of spite because they changed the finish of the match. He was supposed to go over. And Hogan uses his pull, like, nah, I can't lose to this guy. I can't lose to Shawn Michaels.
Typical Hogan.
So Shawn was like, okay, I'll lose, but I'm about to have fun with it, and that's what he did. Because I don't even remember the finish of the match. Like, I don't remember, but I remember all the over the top sells that Shawn was doing that match, and it had to piss off Hogan. It had to.
I think
because I mean, like, it's just Shawn. At that time, Shawn knew, Shawn was a changed man, but you know what? I'm gonna fuck you over one way,
Right.
because you just fucked me over.
Right. He's got a reputation
So,
for that. He's got a reputation for that. Okay, so let's talk about our highs from day one. You know, of course, let's just say it. Stone Cold coming back was the greatest thing for WrestleMania 38 because it gave everybody a reason to watch. If you're a Roman fan, you're probably going to watch Sunday, but if you're a wrestling fan, you watch both. But Stone Cold gave you a reason to watch. And I think like I was so nervous because he just looked old. He felt old. He took bumps. He took a suplex outside. I was so worried for him. I'm like, oh no, but he was able to pull it off.
I wasn't worried. I was impressed.
I was
impressed that he took it.
He hasn't wrestled what 18 years, and he's 56,
19.
57, 19. Like, dog, like, man, Stone Cold, salute to you for giving that to us one last time. Like, that was beautiful.
Right.
So Stone Cold was my highest high. I know it was Stone Cold, but I think they could have put Cody and Seth last because they put on, like, once you get, because at the beginning the match was slow, it was kind of sloppy, but once they got it going and they figured out how to make it go cohesively, that was a great match. That was a great match. Bianca and Becky was a good match too. Bianca took a real kick to the face, and I ain't seen her eyelash since. Logan Paul was very impressive.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to be able to do the things he did.
So So Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens carried that match. I mean, even though Stone Cold did great, but Kevin Owens carried that match by the overselling, by taking, he took that ass whooping. He took it, and I'm proud of him. Because remember early in the year, not talks of him, but like people chattering that he's disgruntled and he's ready to go. They're talking about that he would go to AEW, and then there's like people already plotting on the reunion of Mount Rushmore. That's the Young Bucks, Adam Cole, and Kevin Owens. And I'm like, dog, we gotta let go of this nostalgia of the Indies in a sense, because these guys have families now, and they gotta put food on the plate. Going to AEW, you're gonna make money, but you ain't gonna make WWE money. And that's what it all boils down to. So,
and that's an easy sell for Vince. Like, I understand you want your freedom. I'll let you go. You got 60 days where you can't compete nowhere else. But I can offer you more money, more opportunities, bigger platform than anybody else. And Kevin Owens was so over. I think this is just my opinion. When Jericho left, he had Kevin Owens so over from that best friend thing they were doing. Like, Kevin Owens just carried it. And then he wrestled Sami Zayn some more. So I think he was over, but anybody who watched knew that Kevin Owens was going to have to carry, because you can't ask Stone Cold to carry. But at some part, Stone Cold I was like, oh my goodness, he's carrying this. He's throwing him outside the ring. He's beating him up outside the ring. He's interacting. I'm like, damn, he still kind of got it. So those were my highs from day one. But like I said, like, I think some people just have it figured out in the business. Like, I'm not a big Becky Lynch fan, but she has it figured out. I'm a great heel. I can put you over. I can be mad about it, and I can just work it until I can't work it, and I have to move on. It's like, she gets it. She gets it. Who else gets it? Kevin Owens gets it. Usos get it too. I think they've been done a disservice. Vince McMahon, I know he cares about them, but he doesn't feature them. Like, in my opinion, no disrespect to Shinsuke and Rick, they shouldn't have been wrestling them. Give them serious wrestling match. Give them something they can show how great they are. They even have great ring gear, because sometimes that's kind of not a good thing anymore. People don't really have great ring gear. Like, shout out to the Usos, man, because they're professionals. Not outside the ring, them dudes can't stay out of trouble, but
and that's why they're in the position they're in. Now, granted, if it wasn't for Roman, he would have been fired. If it wasn't for the bloodline storyline, Jay would probably still be around, but Jimmy just had a DUI when he got back.
Not
So
even
like
not even
he
3 months
lucky.
ago. Not even 3 months ago, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I will get the Roman and when we talk about day 2, but that
Yeah.
bloodline thing is really amazing. Especially after you
Oh
told
yeah.
me there's more of them out there. I was like, oh, this could go on forever. Like that
Yeah.
shit.
So yeah, we're gonna jump back to that. So my highs was the worst kept secret, Cody Rose returning.
Mhm,
That was the
mhm.
high. That was
Worst.
probably the high because we all knew he was coming back, but there was stories like the week before that he was, having cold feet and he was gonna go back to AEW. There was rumors that he was going back to AEW to run Ring of Honor. It was rumors there. They thought he wasn't signing. I'm like, yeah, he is. And you want to know why he's signing? The money. And what did he say? I had my kid. I knew I needed to go back. So I was like, once a lot of guys at AEW have children, they learn how to make the money stretch from doing indie work. But when you come from, indie to go to the big league, and then you go back, think about going back. You're like, this money too good
Mhm.
to, leave it here. Like, yeah, I get to work less dates, but I'm not signing $1 million contract.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't. With Sammy, Kevin, AJ, you got a lifestyle to uphold. You know what I'm saying? So you probably got these nice ass houses. You take a pay cut, you're moving, and your kids got to readjust to living with less.
Yeah.
And most people don't want to do that to the children.
Mhm. That
But yeah, Cody. I would say Cody being the high. That match was phenomenal. I had the feeling that Cody was going to go over when but it's just like if he didn't go over, I'm like, how would you push Cody going forward then?
Mhm.
Like them, I give it to Seth for taking it, being okay with it because you gotta look at the run that Seth was on. Seth was on is on one of the best runs of his career. So like for him to be able, to bite that pin, hey, I applaud you.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think
After
Seth
that,
really
then
cares about wrestling so much more than he cares about entertaining. I think he likes promos and the
yeah,
suits. I don't think he really cares about the matches as much as he cares about his promos.
right, right, yeah, no, yeah, he is a pure sports entertainer. Like even though if you know his background, he started in the Indies. He's a Ring of Honor, veteran himself. But the transformation of him, he's a WWE guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he bleeds WWE, which is hilarious. Like, I won't say hilarious, but it's just like you almost forget. I feel like he's forgotten his roots almost. Like he's so into Seth Rollins, like he doesn't even think about Tyler Black. That's how I look at him. Um, so like because like the way he defends WWE, it's on a whole nother level.
He's the next Triple H in terms of
Yeah,
that's the path he's on. Like Randy Orton's a lifer, Triple H a lifer, Ric Flair's a lifer. Certain guys that's all they're gonna do is just wrestle. They'll do a couple of things
yeah.
here and there, but that's it. That's it. So let's move over to night 2. Night 2 had a lot of downs for me. So let's start with the lows. My number one low, and it's probably might be your number one low, is why the hell was the New Day wrestling? It just made no sense.
Dog,
The match made zero sense.
I'm gonna tell you like this: the runtime of the match, 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Is that it?
That was it. I'm gonna tell you this: I went to the bathroom thinking that the match was gonna be at least 5-7 minutes. I come back, it's the Undertaker on my screen again for the third night.
Oh man, that was hilarious. Man, I felt bad for them because they're like the Usos. Sometimes they really do get the short end of the stick, and them dudes are highly entertaining. Now, Big E's not here. Hopefully he gets his neck situated and he figures out he doesn't need wrestling anymore, because I'm not wrestling after breaking my neck. Not the way he broke his neck. But
Well, I'm gonna wrestle. If I was him, I'll still wrestle, but you also have to. He's gonna be more picky about who he gets in the ring with.
okay.
Because Ridge is still fresh. Ridge is maybe 4 years into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He was a former soccer player. Him himself is coming off a freak injury. A couple years back, he tore up his whole leg, knee, leg, from a move in NXT. But Big E's going to have to change his style of wrestling. So, you know how he likes to jump through the ropes and, do that dive. That's out the book. Like he's not going. There's certain moves he's not going to take because of his neck. Everybody that's broken their neck, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, they talk to their opponents and like, hey, I'm not taking this move because of my neck. So like, as long as he adapts his wrestling style, he's going to be fine. It's just we're not going to see certain moves out of his playbook anymore.
But I mean, he was having a prosperous career outside of wrestling already with doing the boxing intros and doing the NASCAR intros. So I mean, like, he can make money outside of wrestling. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. No, with Big E, he has a voice that will translate into voiceover work. So that's what he'll be able to fall back on. Like Xavier has the G4 channel. He's a host on that channel.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he campaigned and they ended up hiring him. I was disappointed because, like, with it being WrestleMania, not to hear him do the intro to WrestleMania, like, I thought he could have come out and did that. But I'm glad that they didn't do that if they was going to lose.
And I don't understand the reason of putting Sheamus over at WrestleMania. Sheamus don't need to be put over at all.
I think it was just because they had the match and they're like, all right, forget it. Let's just do something, because I feel like it was going to be a triple threat match if Big E didn't break his neck. It was not triple threat. Six man tag. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. It was going to be a 6-man tag. Because they got Butch. So that would have been an entertaining match if Big E didn't break his neck. But that was a low. The McMahon beating Pat McAfee was, I won't say it was a low, but the after was him pinning Pat was the low, and then taking that terrible stunner was attached to that. That was the worst stunner I ever seen in my life, on any level. Kids take better stunners than that. I've seen. That was just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life on a WrestleMania.
I was so scared for him. I was like, oh my gosh, Vince couldn't take a kick to the stomach. Get him out of here.
Yeah. No, but the fact that he took the kick and then stumbled into the ropes, I'm like, bruh. But when he took it, like, please don't die. Please don't die in this ring. Because he laid there motionless for a second. I'm like, please don't lie. And then when they came back and he started moving, I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I'm about to say, he died in this ring. I don't know what's about to happen.
Bruh, listen. Not only did he take a horrible stunner, but he came down knee first and his body was going backwards like this. I was like, oh my gosh.
But you want to know what's funny though? When they edited for TV to show the replay, it made it look like he took a good stunner.
Right.
I was
I was
I'm
dying
like,
when I saw
Kevin,
that.
I'm like, Kevin Dunn, you fuck up 99% of the time. This is the 1% of the time where you did great because this edit is phenomenal.
That's Kevin Dunn?
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't heard
All
that
them
name in a
ugly
long
cuts,
time.
it's Kevin. Like, why are you cutting so much? I feel like an epileptic kid. Like, you cutting too much. You don't need to move this camera this much. Like, this, it's okay. You can say at this angle. Yeah, those are my two lows.
Okay.
The night wasn't full of lows. It was just full of meh. It
Man.
wasn't spectacular.
So let's move forward to the highs. Now, I wouldn't say there's a high, but I just want to mention it. Bobby Lashley versus Omos and RK Bros versus Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Those matches wasn't highs, but they weren't lows either. But they was like you said, I get it. You need to feature them.
Yeah.
You got to feature Randy Orton in some way. He's going to get featured.
Right.
I didn't expect them to keep the belts, but hey, all them guys are really over right now. I want to say something. Chad Gable is the definition of a wrestler. Like, you put him in there, he's going to wrestle. Like, I don't know if they did this to get him a crowd favorite, but they need to get him away from Otis. I'm not an Otis fan, not because of anything, he just doesn't belong with Chad Gable. Chad needs to be out there moving up the ladder.
So the move with Otis was to move Otis away from being a lovable fat guy. Because Vince loves comedy. But Vince was just, wasn't really a fan of the Otis comedy. I like Chad Gable. The issue is for him, he's too short. He's 5'8". You know what I'm saying? Like,
is that why they took the money in the bank away from him?
Well, from Otis, yeah. Otis. Funny thing about Otis, me and Otis are the same height, weight. I'm like, really? He's just strong as shit. But yeah, that's why he took it away from him. They knew that they couldn't go forward with him being a championship contender. But Gable, you see what he does every time. Any gimmick you give him, he works it to death, and he does it great. Like the shoosh, like that. That's over. It's over. Like fuck. Like it's a shirt. That's a shoosh. But yeah, if he wasn't short, he would probably be the next Kurt Angle. Like if Chad Gable was 6'2", next Kurt Angle, guaranteed. But because he's 5'8", he's stuck being the tag team specialist that he is.
But they shouldn't, because Rey Mysterio was what, 5'4", 5'5"?
He's 5'4", but it's Rey Mysterio. Like there's certain people who get certain pushes. Like Shawn Michaels is like 5'10", 5'11", but because of what he did in the ring, the entertainment aspect, that's why he got the push he got. Rey Mysterio, just he brings in the Latino community. What that bring? More money. Think about it. Think about everybody that he's brought in, like Alberto. He's taller, but he can't. He can wrestle, but he can't bring in the people like Rey Mysterio did. Sin Cara. He can't. He had the entrance. He had the look. He couldn't wrestle, and he couldn't bring in people. Rey Mysterio is a gift of God to wrestling. He gives little people hope, and I mean he's entertaining as hell. I'm glad he's adapted his style to add on to his longevity. Because remember, his knees are, I think he had double knee surgery. He got, his knees are shot.
He's still bouncing around like that?
Yeah, like he had knee surgery. I think he had hip surgery. He's been through a lot in that ring.
His biopic is gonna be great.
But oh yeah, but and like that's low key one reason why they did the on the WWE 2K22 the showcase. Like that'll show you, like that'll give you a good look at his career, and like that man been working. Like
His
like,
his
he's been wrestling.
WCW days. Yeah.
Yeah, but you also have to realize he also wrestled on ECW too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
you got ECW, WCW. He's been wrestling since 90. He's been wrestling on TV since like 95. This is 2022.
His cruiserweight championship days versus like Ultimate Dragon and Dean Malenko, and his outfits he used to wear, the purple one he wore to Halloween Havoc. Like Rey Mysterio always knew he understood entertaining and being flashy. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Where would you put the tag team championship, women's tag team championship match? That a high or low? Is that in the mid for you?
It's a high because two black women are champions. That's why it's a high. Like no matter what, it's a high because in wrestling, this is the golden age for black women wrestlers. There's so many black women that are champions now. Because you got them, you got Bianca. In Impact, you got
I don't know her name, but that's the short Mexican black chick, right?
Yeah, Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Puerto Rican. Excuse me, Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican and black.
Puerto Rican and black. Jay Cargar with her fine ass.
Jay,
bruh, she cold. and she wrestles so aggressive. I'll be like, God, dog. I thought she kicked that one chick's shoulder off.
Yeah, and so with Jade, like she's so new to this still. Like she's a rookie, and it's just with AEW getting Daniel Bryan, that helped her become a better wrestler because now she's actually learning how to wrestle because she gets to talk to one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. She gets to learn from people, you know. If you watch her matches now, you can see the growth. It's not that much, but you still see growth. So that means she's learning, you know. She's not just a great example of somebody not growing. She's not like Ahmed Johnson.
Hey, chill on the homie, man. My man's tied ass bands around his arm. I'm like, nigga, how you get that stuff on there?
But no. What always made me laugh, the nigga wore 3 knee pads on each leg. He had on his knees, and then he had 2 on his thighs.
I know he had a lot of heat backstage. He wasn't well received, wasn't really liked a lot.
He was not liked because he was told things, and instead of just keeping it to himself, he would talk about it to other people in the locker room, which rubbed people wrong. Because you know, what they tell you when they sign you, you know, you're not supposed to. I mean, you're supposed to believe it, but you gotta wait your turn. And he was thinking like he's next up when nigga, he's not next up. You still got time. You gotta get better. So.
And you was wrestling against. You was wrestling against Ron Simmons.
One of my favorite,
right. You wrestling against Ron Simmons. They are grooming you. Like, they're not going to let you get around Ron if Ron don't believe you got something. You know what I'm saying? Look what Ron did for D'Lo and Mark Henry's career. Yeah. Look what Ron did for. If there was no Nation of Domination, we would have never got the Rock we got. In my mind, that's the only way I see it.
No, you're 100% right. Without Ron Simmons, in general, I really feel like fans should give Ron Simmons, black wrestling fans should give Ron Simmons more flowers than we do, because without him, there's not a lot of us.
He was the first.
Yeah.
Power slam Big Van Vader. Won that chip.
Yeah. The first. So, and think about that. Look how long it took for us to get what we got. I think who was next? Booker T?
So Ron Simmons, The Rock, Booker T. Wait, No, I think Booker T won it before The Rock. No, The Rock was
Yeah, he
already
did.
champion. No, The Rock was already champion
Well,
in '99 before Booker T won it in
yeah,
2000. So Ron
yeah.
Simmons, The Rock, Booker T, Mark Henry. And Mark Henry, when he beat Randy Orton, that was like 2011. So that was such a bit, like almost another 10 year gap.
Exactly.
And then he won it in 2011, and then Kofi didn't win it to 2019. Kofi had that short reign, and then after Kofi, Big E, right?
Mm-mm.
Who was after Kofi?
Bobby.
Oh, Bobby,
Bobby.
then Big E, because Big E beat Bobby for it.
Yeah.
And Bobby was way overdue. He should have been had it, but Bobby was a champion in TNA
Oh, yeah.
too. Yeah. So okay, so
champion TNA.
So what was your thoughts on Pat McAfee and Austin Theory? I thought, okay, let me be honest. I don't really get the Pat McAfee thing. I get what he brings on the announcing side, but from a wrestling standpoint, he wasn't really selling anything, but he had a really good interest where he really pandered to the crowd with the favorable music. And then I'm like, okay, he can jump high, he can do some things, but I respect Austin for putting him over, because Austin also needed to be over as a bad guy, but you gave people what they wanted to see from Pat, a competitive match, and Pat ended up winning.
Yeah. So to go back on about Pat, okay, first of all, this match truly should have been Pat versus Adam Cole, had Adam Cole stuck around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like, they had two matches in NXT. This would have been the trifecta. Truth be told, the match was the same match that Adam Cole and Pat McAfee did. There was a lot of same spots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy that he was able to do it in front of people, because I mean, like, when he did the match with Adam Cole, it was no crowd, so you able to hone your nerves into that, to do the exact same thing, and hit those same spots, hit those same moves. It takes a lot, like, first of all, to do any of that shit, it takes a lot, because think about wrestling in front of 77,000 people. It takes a lot.
Takes a lot.
And not fuck up.
Right. And not let you said, let your nerves get the best of you.
Right. So I mean, like, he's a great athlete, plain and simple. I mean, former NFL punter, he was one of my favorite punters. I liked him. He was a fan who, that's athletic enough to actually get in the ring. And he showed it. Are we going to get too many more matches from him? Probably not.
Probably not.
But we know, the rest of the fans know what you knew if you watched NXT. So I mean, like, it's right there in the middle. I mean, it's not like I said, I saw the match before,
okay.
But like, I'm happy for Pat for doing what he did in that ring. So that's always a plus. Austin Theory is going to be a champion. I just wish he didn't get the kiss of death from Vince.
I'm gonna say this. A couple of things. One, I hate when wrestlers wrestle with chains on. Like, Usos do it. Austin Theory had one on. Like, don't y'all be worried that stuff gonna pop off, but that's just a personal preference of mine.
But Pat did too.
Right. That's why Pat had a gold chain on. Yeah. So Austin Theory's on his way. He's down the path. He's probably handpicked by McMahon. So it's up to him not to fail, because McMahon will drop you back down to the bottom if you feel like you're not living up to what he thought you could do. Just ask Drew McIntyre. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
I would like to say this also. Byron Saxton took a great stunner. He did a great job with how he took his stunner. That was really good for him.
That's the one thing a lot of people don't know. Byron was a wrestler.
Was he?
So, like, yeah. Byron came up in FCW. He was in the early days of NXT. If you go on YouTube, you can find some matches of his. He can wrestle. He he has one of the worst finishers I've ever seen in my life. Um, I don't even want to try to explain it to you. I just want you to go on YouTube, look it up, and when you watch it, hit me on Twitter, and you'll agree that it's probably one of the worst finishes you ever seen in your life. So, but he knows how to take a bump. He knew what he had to do. Byron is over for being that Carlton Banks black guy for wrestling. Like that's what he is. I mean, like that boy be dressing, Palm Ranch, but that boy be dressing, but he be so damn corny. So it's like,
and he floppy well paid for it.
I want more from him. But at the same time, yeah. But I understand the role that he's in. The stunner was great. The selling of it was hilarious. But it also takes me back to the pandemic when they had 316 Day, and he took the stunners. And he was one of the guys cheering on Stone Cold when clapping and shit. It was hilarious. If you ever go back to that Raw,
I don't remember. I remember 316 Day, of course, but I didn't watch it. So I didn't see the stunners. But
yeah, go on YouTube, go on Peacock. Just go to the last like 30 minutes of the show. It was dragged on too long because there was no fans, but the stunners, the conversations, it was hilarious. Like it was like the whole rest of the show was just a lot. It just dragged on. I was like, let's just get to this Stone Cold shit and call it a day. But yeah, Byron's a great seller. Like I say, he's in the right role. You know, he's in the right. He paid his dues and he's in the right role, and I don't see anybody taking his spot.
Okay, so these next two matches, I purposely talking about them together because one gave you completely opposite than what the other gave you. Edge versus AJ Styles, which was a great wrestling clinic match. And then you got Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. I mean, you were tweeting about the Knoxville and Sami Zayn because I was like, man, why am I watching it? But it got to the point where it just became overly entertaining and you couldn't turn your head away. Like it was just pure comedy. Like you pinned him with a human rat trap, like that mouse trap. That's hilarious. Exactly. That's perfect Jackass theme. Like, how do we not see the big giant hand sitting at ringside? I never saw it one time.
Okay, so I didn't see the hand, but I knew it was the hand because watching Jackass I think it was Jackass 3. I remember that was one of the gags, the hand slap.
Right.
So I'm like, oh shit. So when the timekeeper area was missing, I'm like, oh, they about to do the hand gag.
Oh, so and I didn't even notice the timekeeper area was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, so like they tore off they removed the walls of it so they could put the hand there. So when I saw Sammy running, I'm like, he's about to get hit with the hand in the face. I don't know how he's not going to see this shit, but he's about to get hit with the hand. And sure enough, smack. So, I wasn't, my expectation of the match was low because I knew it was going to be all entertainment. It wasn't going to be pro wrestling. It was all entertainment because of who Sammy was. I mean, who Johnny Knoxville was. Because he's not a wrestler. He's old. He's been through hell and back, putting his body through all types of shit. The best spot in that whole match was Wee Man slamming Sami Zayn.
Dog, it wasn't that he slammed him. He held him for at least 3 to 5 seconds. Like, that's pure body control and strength. And then he turned him. It wasn't like he slammed him and he fell. No, he turned. Dog, that was incredible. And I like the shirt that said "We Mania." I'm like, oh man, that was dope. Everything was dope. They did everything right with that.
Yeah, because when you were tweeting about it, I'm like, dog, just wait, it's gonna get good. Because I knew the match wasn't gonna go long. The match went over.
It went long.
Minutes.
It went long.
I feel like it should have went like 10 minutes most, but the end product made up for it. You know what I'm saying? Like the rat trap, the big ass rat trap. I'm like, okay, this makes up for it going longer than it needs to go.
And they had to
But it
get
also
the
took time
stuff
away.
in place. Like they had to put the mousetrap in place, the hand slap. They had to get the stuff from under the ring. You had to bring the other guys from under the ring. So everything took time. But like you said, the end product was well worth the duration of the match.
Yeah. So the Edge and AJ Styles. I won't say I expected more, but I wasn't disappointed with what I got.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The ending with Damian Priest coming out and just looking, him and AJ looking at each other. I felt like they could have went a different route with that. I won't say like a pure like interference or anything, but it just could have something that would have, to me made it more fulfilling. Edge's entrance was probably the best part of that whole match to me. Be truthful. That throne, the purple light, the fire, like I already knew that it was going to do a stable, with Edge and Priest. I wasn't expecting it to happen at WrestleMania. I was expecting it to be, the seeds be planted on Raw. I thought the match was going to end clean. But yeah, I wasn't like I was invested, but now I'm just like, this is just wrestling. Like there was no real entertainment. I mean, like I love AJ Styles. I've been watching AJ Styles for
TNA
almost 20 years now. Yeah, like he was the light, the life, the heart of TNA. So, but yeah, I wasn't too like. There was no real stakes involved in that match, so I wasn't like truly invested. Like, let's just see what happens. That's how I felt.
So
because once again, we came off the high of the Sasha Banks and Naomi, so I'm like, let's see what goes on with this match. The intro killed it. Match was great, but it's just like, where are we going with this? That's how I kind of felt.
So this is my thoughts on Edge and AJ Styles. That entrance was incredible. It made me feel like he was tributing Undertaker and Triple H, but that might be me reaching. Pause.
Yeah, I can see both.
This is what they should have did with Damian Priest. Make the lights go black and purple and him just pop up and cause AJ to not look when he's jumping off the ropes. It's like you should say, because he just looked at him and I'm like, so you're not going to do nothing? And Edge just spears him from jumping off the ropes. Like you could have did that much better, more convincing to the point where he's like, oh shit, okay, what's about to happen? Made people think Undertaker's coming out and boom. It's just Edge and Priest. Like you just gave us a canvas, but it wasn't nothing on it. And if you're gonna give us a blank canvas, you gotta do something else. So that's how I felt about that, but it could have been done better. So let's transition into the main event. And me and you both feel the same way about Roman. He's the best thing on TV. His promos are out of this world. And if you are a wrestling fan and you don't like what Roman's doing, I will call that hatred. I'm not saying you can't dislike it, but he's not doing anything to be disliked. Now, if you don't like the way he wrestles, I'm okay with that because he is a very basic wrestler. But his promos, his promos are top. This is what wrestling is made off of. These type of promos, these type of interactions. Like, this reminds me of like old 80s, 90s where the crowd was so into it, they would spit on you. Like the dude who attacked Seth Rollins a couple of months ago. Like, you're so over like that people are just believing it. Like, and when he says acknowledge him, you're supposed to boo him and you're cheering him. Like, Roman is out of this world. Like, I understand why he's got the long reign. My only hope for that,
like his shirt say, God mode. Like mode. That's what he's in. He's in God mode. Like, the only thing to me, there's nothing missing from what he's doing. This is the Roman that if you're a wrestling fan, this is the Roman that we should have got the years that he was getting booed. You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to force the big dog, on us, we should have got this Roman. Like, just let him be him. And that's what's wild. Like, this is him. Like,
because he's wanted to be a bad guy, right? He's wanted to be a bad guy, right?
Yeah. Yep. So this storyline, like it's based on reality. You know, like this, it might not the whole head of table situation. Of course, that's not real, but him, being the breadwinner of the family. Of course, when they get together, they're going to talk to like, oh, what are they going to do with you next? They're going to so he's going to be the head person that they talk about. He is so the storyline is in his family, to be truthful. Like you if you listen to interviews with the Usos, they're like, yeah, when we were growing up, Roman was a bully. He was demanding of like this, and I mean, like that's what's so dope about it. But at the same time, it's like this is what we knew. We knew he was royalty because of his family background, and he should have been talking that shit like, yeah, my family this, my family that. Like the whole entire time I wanted him to be bloodline. Maybe not my expectations of bloodline were greatly exceeded by hello, look at the reign. The reign has gone on almost 2 years now.
Was it almost
So I'll be like, but
almost 400 days or over 400
like
days? It's 5?
No, we're at 5 so yeah.
Ooh,
We're
he coming up on Hogan level. Didn't Hogan have it like 600 days or something like that?
Yeah. We're approaching Bruno Sammartino. We're approaching the golden age. Like I feel like Bruno Sammartino's the next person he's gonna, with the reign, he's gonna overtake. Which is also why I feared him losing on Sunday. I'm like, do you really want to take it off of him? Like,
I thought that was gonna happen initially. I thought like they was gonna have him lose to make him really crazy and then him get it back. But I'm glad he didn't lose because now you have the opportunity to put him in actual wrestling matches with actual wrestlers now. And this also brings it to a point I wanted to point out earlier, but I forgot. Cody Rose is going to win the Royal Rumble next year. Book it. I'm saying it right now. I see it. He's going to win the Royal. Him or Austin Theory is winning the Royal Rumble next year. It's almost set in stone.
Yeah. Barring injury, definitely Cody. If he doesn't win the Royal Rumble, he's still going to get a title shot.
Mm-hmm. That's what he came back for.
Right. Because now the thing is, are we going to take it off it for Cody? Because I mean, like, yeah, that moment was phenomenal, but let's get into reality on a week-to-week basis. Or is the crowd going to be behind them the same way?
I think it just depends on, like you say, trajectory. Where do you go from here now? Because if you're going to have Cody and Seth do some matches for the next couple of months up to SummerSlam, I'm okay with that because you'll get the best out of Seth with his promos. Cody has good promo. So I'm more worried about who do you have Roman face next? Because if you have the belt 500 days, you've already wrestled everybody at least twice, maybe. So who do you...
But see, that's the thing. His reign, he hasn't faced that many people. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did
Edge,
you gotta really think about
AJ Styles. He did the one Uso. He's done Seth. He's done Kevin Owens. I think he did Rey Mysterio.
That was the one. Yeah, he did Rey Mysterio. He did Daniel Bryan. But you know what I'm saying? But like, next up, I hear the rumblings that it's going to be Drew. Now, is he going to take it off of him? Probably not.
Hell no.
But
that's good because that's also a bigger guy. It's also somebody Roman's probably really hasn't wrestled. And Drew didn't have the run with the crowd. He had the run during the pandemic. So I think he's deserving of the run, at least a couple of pay-per-views with Roman Reigns. I would like to see that. I would like to see Drew because Drew can wrestle and Drew's believable that, hey, I can beat you. He's got the thing with the sword, So I can see that.
So, all right. So let's get to the match. it got cut short because
He got
Roman's
injured.
arm got dislocated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see the way when it lumped up, I feel like he had muscle cramp.
And because Brock is aggressive as hell, like, and
but see, this is for one, this is the best Brock we ever seen. He's been a people person that we've never seen this side of Brock
at all.
And it's phenomenal. I love it. But no, I think he had a muscle spasm on top of actually dislocating the shoulder. Because after the match, you saw him pull the rope and pull it back in place. I'm like, first of all, you're a freak of nature because wow. Because like no normal person could really because he couldn't lift it up all the way, but I mean like when he was on the ramp, you saw him lift up. I'm like, what the fuck? You just popped his shoulder back in place. Like no normal human being could really do shit like that. They were like, all right, you hold one, I hold this one.
Right.
So I'm gonna leave right here and hold it up. But the match was great.
You thought the match was great?
Great is a reach. It was good.
Okay.
It was good. Because of the close calls. Play up to that last millisecond before kicking out is gold. I don't know anybody else that knows when to kick out at the last exact moment. Not Shawn Michaels couldn't do that shit. Ric Flair couldn't do that shit. Like anytime Roman is on his back in the last 5-6 minutes of the match, you don't know if he's gonna win the match because of the way he kicks out. You're like, oh shit, this is it. And he kicks out in the last second, like damn, like holy shit.
Because I thought John Cena was gonna beat him. I was like, oh shit, they brought John Cena back to beat him, and he popped up at the last second. I mean, I gotta turn this off. I'm about to have a heart attack. Like, why am I watching this shit like that? I don't watch wrestling on an everyday basis. I only watch that because I'm like, is they gonna let John Cena take this belt from him? But he didn't. And that match was all about, you say, that millisecond of when the hand touches the mat, he pops his shoulder up. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, like he knows when that hand is about to come down for a 3, and he kicks out. It's a great piece of work. It's a great piece of entertainment. Because there's been times I've sat and watched matches. I'm like this is about to be it. It's about to be it. They're like, oh shit, he kicked out. I mean, we already knew Roman was going to get in the Hall of Fame regardless, but this run, that man could retire tomorrow, and he's going to be in the next WrestleMania. That's how great this run is.
Yeah, he's done enough already. With if you're holding the belt for 400, 500 days, you're already done enough because they don't do that for everybody.
Yeah,
there's guys that never even smelled the belt that was doing similar things. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like one day you and I have to have a conversation about, guys that I felt that should have had the belt, like a Mr. Perfect and a Rick Rude, but that's here and there. That's for another day. By the way, side note, Rick Rude had the greatest wrestling gear of all time, but we'll get through that. We'll get past that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are your impressions of what you want from Brock next? Cause I know Brock is doing it for the money and the love, but what else can Brock do at this point? You're going to keep bringing him back to being main events? You're going to do Brock versus Omos? Like what? I mean, what else can you do at this point? That would be interesting. Brock versus Omos, because that I don't think.
I feel Brock is on contract for another 2 or 3 pay-per-views. So you gotta build those up. So I feel like
SummerSlam.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you gotta get. See, here's the one thing that I did not want with the unification match. How are you gonna get the title off of Roman technically? You know what I'm saying? Without him losing. And then if you don't have him lose. The only way I can see it actually working out smoothly is Roman says, I don't work Mondays, and just tosses the belt. You know what I'm saying?
So I just assume that they're going to just have one champion and him go back and forth, because that way you can get different types of matchups all the time now. So that would be my thought process.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want to overwork Roman. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to have that prestige. You want to have that aura that he is the champion. Like, I don't want my champion wrestling every week, showing up on both shows every week, because that's gonna be so taxing on his body for him to be at Raw on Monday and then do whatever house shows you do during the week to then show up on Friday. He's gonna get burnt out.
Well,
you know what I mean, like,
he hasn't really been wrestling anyway. He's only been wrestling at pay-per-views, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, for the most part.
So you just have to keep doing that. You don't. I agree with you. Don't have him wrestle Fridays or Mondays, but you should have him on Mondays and Fridays if he's got both belts. You have to. You got to have him talking.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. But see, that's the thing. So on Monday, Raw is the B show. So like, there's really nobody who was like, I want to see Roman wrestle him, because if they felt that way, then they will move them over to SmackDown, like they did Drew. So but with Brock, I would definitely like to see Omos with him. Well, at least one match. But that would also tear. No, it wouldn't, because he lost to Bobby. Because now with Omos aligning, or MVP aligning with Omos, I want to see where that goes. Do I think Brock will lose to Omos if the money is right?
Right.
Because that man is all about the dollar bill. I ain't mad at it. Like he's admitted it. Like, I am the prize fighter. So how they gonna do it? But like, you got to put a bit of program with somebody that is believable. You can't just throw them in a match with somebody. You can't just throw them in you can't put them in the IC picture. You know what I'm saying? You can't put him in the, Intercontinental title. He needs a big name to face.
So let me ask you this. Let's just say, for instance, next year WrestleMania is Brock versus Omos. Do you think he can give him 8 German suplexes? Like, that's a big dude. That's a huge dude to be German suplexing.
Yes, I do. I believe Brock could take Omos to Suplex City.
Wow.
Speaking of, so quick story. So it was where the fuck were we? One time I was out of town for work. I think I was in West Virginia. Yeah, I was in West Virginia for work. It was me and my homie, and our dumbasses was like, let's take shots for every time Brock hits a suplex. Top 5 worst decisions I ever made in my life.
Ooh.
I forget who he was. I forget how many he did, but we took so many. Bruh, we both passed out. Woke up with Shaq up into the ring. Do a sub. I can't even remember what the hell he was doing, but I remember him coming to the ring. I'm like, damn, nigga, we was asleep. Like, sleep from taking all them shots. Never again in my life will I take a shot for every suplex that man does.
I'm not doing nothing crazy like that. So, okay. So overall, night 1, I think, was better than night 2. I would give night 1 an A. I would give night 2 a C-, because they had some matches on night 2 that I was like you said, but as an overall product, I would give it a B, because this was probably one of the better WrestleManias we've had in years. I don't remember who was on the card when Kofi wrestled Daniel Bryan, but I remember that shit gave me goosebumps, because I didn't think Kofi was gonna win, but at the same time, I'm like, there's no way they put him in his main event to lose. So this is one of the better WrestleManias I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it is. But I truly, I give it like a night 2 dragged it down from the high of a B+. I give it like a B-.
Okay.
I'm putting it on this setting. it's like the Blueprint too. You know, if you put the best songs of both discs on one album, you have the greatest WrestleMania of all time.
I know exactly what you mean, brother. Because the Blueprint 2 has some misses and a lot of nice ones too.
Right.
I might
Because
have to
remember
listen
they
to
came
that
out with that
with you
damn. Remember they came out with that bullshit ass 2.1.
Mm-hmm.
Still had some. It was still missing some hits. But like this is the if you sit here and look at these matches and pick and choose, like yeah, this is probably been the greatest card of all time if it was just one night. So I mean, I'm grateful that it was 2 nights that we were able to do this, because if I've been salty if I had to watch all this shit one day.
Bro, that would have been horrible. But Seth Rollins spoke on that. He said, in a perfect world, WrestleMania is not that long. He said, but you have to understand that you can't do 7 hours. He's like, when we did it in Madison Square Garden, it got done 12:30, 1 o'clock, and people got stuck on the subway. He was like, you can't do that. He said, so this was like perfect. But I will say this. At some point, you got to figure out, if you're going to do 2 nights, how to get great matches on both nights, because he still hasn't done that yet. He still's giving you like some good, some bad. Like this was really close. I feel like you don't want one night to be boring, but you got to figure out how to put great. And you got to understand, well, I guess I can't tell Vince how to understand no shit like that. But I think like you have to realize people like Usos, New Day, they have to be on the card because they're big, they're over, and you got to figure out a way. And if you're going to do your women's, you got to make sure it's the women. Like, this is off track. Rhea Ripley does not need to be in no tag team title match. That woman can really wrestle, and she really has a gimmick that can sell, but I don't think Vince believes in her. It just, Vince was calling people up that should have never came up, but that's just my opinion. But however, back to the WrestleMania thing, like, you got to figure out how to get.
Wait. Real quick, Rhea Ripley. You know how I always post that white version of Dr. Umar?
Yes.
I feel about it every single time. That woman is gorgeous.
Bruh, I saw when she came out in that cat thing, and I was running on I was like, hey man, Rhea looked like she might be a lot of fun, man. I'll risk it for Rhea. Like, she looked like she might be worth a little fun. They was like, oh, you tripping? I'm like, all right, y'all tripping.
Yeah, nah, they tripping. Even my wife is in love with her. Like,
she got it.
Let you know, she got it.
She got it. That's how I feel.
But now to get back on track with, they will figure out a way to get the best out of everybody, but they also have to figure out who is going to get the best out of everybody. Because I mean, like on paper, you look at both nights, it has potential to be a slapper for both nights. But when you get in the ring, like the Usos and Shinsuke and Rick Boone's match, that could have went great if Rick didn't get hurt.
Right. And you could have also
Charlotte and Ronda could have went great, but it's all about who produced it, who all saw. It's all, to be truthful, it's about who is making these matches, like actually do the matches, like the producers. So like you always find out who produced the match. A lot of women matches are done by TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd, and Molly Holly. They both of them will do a lot of women's matches. So that's why those end up slapping all the time, because they know wrestling. But then you have a couple I can't remember who did Charlotte and Ronda. I want to say it was Pat Buck, but I'm not sure, because Pat ended up quitting the next night anyway. But if somebody who does women's matches but hasn't done anything like truly spectacular, don't quote me completely on that, but I feel like I read that somewhere. I'll hit you up on Twitter when I find out who produced the match.
Right.
But it's all about who produces the match, and they gotta get the best out of the producers.
Mm-hmm. We might have to do a part 2 of this interview where we come back and say, well, we rearrange the card and talk about what matches we think would have been better with another opponent. Because right off the back, I'd have
Oh
like
yeah,
Usos versus New Day would have been a great opening match. That would have went over really good.
yeah, but then see, like, okay, we'll do, our dream match, dream card for this WrestleMania. But you also gotta look at these shitty storylines that Vince and company has also put out. So we have to think about. I'll produce. We'll definitely do a part 2. I'll write up, who was left off the card that should have been on it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that, like, here's about one knock. All the women's matches were title matches. Like, nobody was just feuding to feud. Whereas you look at the men's side, Cody and Seth, they're not feuding. They don't have a title. Drew and Happy, there's no title involved in that. There was no title involved in Pat McAfee and Austin.
Edge and AJ.
The New Day and Sheamus shit, no title. So, like, they need to. Women's wrestling in WWE has taken a step back in a sense of they're only projecting the women that have titles instead of the women that don't have titles and their issues that they have with each other. Because you gotta look what happened with Rhea and Almost a Superhero. Like, they beefed for a little bit and then they threw Rhea into another tag team.
That's what Eric Bischoff said. He said that's the one thing he misses about wrestling. He says storylines that are like 5 and 6 months or a year long, like, they don't have that anymore. They're over in like weeks or even a month. So he said that's missing in wrestling. I'm like, he's right. Like, we used to be so invested in The Rock versus Triple H versus Austin versus The Rock, because they took so long to finish, and they gave you things in between, like Mankind, to jump in for a minute, but then they get back to Rock and Austin, because that's what it was really about. So that's because Vince doesn't have a competition. Vince is just doing what he wants. AEW's not big enough to make Vince bring out the best of Vince. Vince could just sit back and be like, this is what I would like to happen. Let's make it happen. So Vince is not thriving on competition, because in all actuality, he could probably buy AEW if he wanted to. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it just, I love AEW. On the strength, it gives you options. So now, if you're tired of Vince's shit, you could go watch AEW and then get tired of their shit. I mean, but see, AEW so young. AEW has a long way to go, but like, Tony Khan gets it.
He does.
He gets it.
Okay, so let's move away from WWE for a minute, and then we'll get to the last and we'll close it out. So let's talk about AEW for a second. We don't have to get really into it because we already talked about how we love Jay Cargill, but Tony gets it for 3 reasons. 1, he does know how to book. 2, he has that youthful exuberance, that passion for it. And 3, Tony understands they are wrestlers that we don't get to see on TV that he wants to put on TV. Vince never understood that, because he always was the pinnacle. I put Rock, I put Austin, I put DX, I put Mankind, I put Stone Cold, I put Kane, and then I'm gonna go get Jericho and Eddie Guerrero. I'll put these guys against guys. But WCW was good at that too, and AEW figured it out. We're gonna get guys that you want to see, and we're gonna have them wrestle each other. And never in my, I don't know, I've never watched anything Ring of Honor of my life. I've seen clips, but to buy Ring of Honor and put them on TV with you, that's genius. That's genius. You got all those belts that you can cycle now. Now you can do whatever you really want.
The great thing about Tony is because he understands professional wrestling. So him doing the Forbidden Door, great. But he's a fan. So he knows what fans want. He knows what a certain demographic wants. And he settled on it. So, like, tag team wrestling. he's great at it. He's great at booking tag team wrestling. The trios, phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? They're not just thrown together. They're factions. Factions. There's groups. As my wife calls it, she calls it gang warfare because it's everybody. Everybody's in a group. You have the Elite. You have the House of Black. You have the Pinnacle. You have the Inner Circle. You have Jericho Appreciation Society. You know, all that shit. So it's like you gotta gang up. You know, like, oh shit. You know, let's roll together. You know, take on such and such and get these titles. Which Tony is going to do eventually. Is going to do a 3-man title. Vince ain't gonna do that shit. Like, Tony's bringing the Japanese style of New Japan to America in a way that New Japan could do themselves.
Mm-hmm. Also, what Tony did, he made Vince start going to other organizations and using their wrestlers. Vince wasn't doing that until Tony started doing that.
Yeah, because Vince saw like, maybe this will work with not just focusing on my wrestlers. Let me pull other people in. I feel Vince using Mickie James for just one night in the Royal Rumble did more than Tony Khan and Impact having a union. And for 6-8 months. I feel Vince, Mickie James, with that belt on their show, on one of the biggest shows, Royal Rumble, probably generated more money for Impact than AEW did.
I can see that. You remember when Alundra Blaze threw the WWF women's belt and WCW in the trash can? I was like, oh my gosh, why did she do that? How did she get out the building with the belt? But when you think about it, like, Tony Khan really has it figured out. Now, I always said he needed a big name for them to start rising. And then CM Punk came, and I'm like, oh, they're out of there. Oh, they're out of there now. Like, CM Punk gets the belt. Oh my goodness. They're going to be out of there. Now, that's the only thing I don't like about Tony Khan, that he's very particular with who gets the title. Because he said, I knew when I started the company, these were going to be my first 3 champions. I'm like, damn. So Cody, that's another reason Cody left. You was never going to put the belt on him either.
Well, but see, Cody didn't want the belt. I mean, like, he didn't need it. Let's be real. Cody didn't need to be the AEW heavyweight champion. Now, if Cody had stayed, maybe like a year or two, he would have actually turned heel and then went for the title. But things disintegrated behind the scenes, and he's back in WWE. But I like Tony for having being logical with that shit, because that's logical. Let's want him to have the titles first, because it built up a Hangman. Now, granted, he's not having the greatest run, but you were excited when Hangman won the title from Kenny Omega.
Yeah, it was time for Kenny to lose it. Like, I thought Kenny was going to lose it to Christian, to be honest with you. But it was time for Kenny to lose it.
I thought he was going to lose it to Bryan Danielson, but.
And I'm not a Hangman. I'm not a Hangman fan, and I think he has a shitty finisher. Like, you're gonna make me watch you flip over the ropes and clothesline me? Nah, family. It's just not happening. But I get it. That's that cowboy in him. But I'm not a fan of him. I'm ready for them to actually take the belt off of him already. But I know they're not.
Yeah, I am too. I feel like it might happen. It's probably gonna be Cole, because it's Adam Cole, baby.
And that's a guy Vince should have just clawed and scratched to keep. That's another guy that's over, like, that
exactly.
Vince missed out on the chance of having so many WrestleMania moments with him coming out saying Adam Cole, baby, in front of 60 to 70,000 people. Like, that would have been equivalent to them saying yes.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if him at WrestleMania just do Adam Cole, baby, in front of 78,000 people, I guarantee you the roof would have went completely off.
I always say I don't know what Vince McMahon is thinking, but what can we say? We're fans, and we're always gonna say that.
Yeah. He misses, but he's calculated. So it's like that's why I end up watching. I watch like a lot of NXT to see who to pick of who you're gonna be next up. Like Brian Breaker, he's next up because he has the look.
Okay, so I'm glad you said NXT. So before we move out of wrestling, I really thought that they were grooming the next big African-American champion in Velveteen Dream. Now, I know he says that the stuff he was accused of, WWE found no wrongdoing. He wasn't criminally charged of anything. So I don't know why he never got back. But that guy had it. He had it. I don't know how good of a wrestler he was, but from a look standpoint and a gimmick standpoint, I'm like, wow, whoa. I saw it instantly.
Yeah. Velveteen was one of my, favorites. The accusations just took over. It was all the accusations. So with that, it derailed him. When he actually came back the first time, he was getting, hate mail. They were talking to him. The fans were chanting things. I was just like, we gotta let go. It was just because like his side, he was like, I was in character when I was talking to these people, and certain things got twisted the wrong way. That's not. He took blame, but then he also deflected. It was just a bad look, and plus it also took too long for him to come out with it. Yeah, that to me, that's gonna be one of the greatest what ifs. To be truthful, like what if?
And the way he shut Hulk Hogan down, I'm like, oh, we gotta get this nigga to the top immediately. But
I mean, like he kept doing it. That's what made it so sweet. Like the spray paint pants that look like the NWO pants, the over, on the back of his pants, the boas, everything. He had it. He had the juice.
He had it, man.
And
he'll never recapture that. And I don't know if he's wrestling on the indie scene, but dude,
no, he can't. He can't wrestle anywhere. The only place I feel like he's gonna be able to wrestle is that whole that shit that EC3 and Braun got, that control your narrative shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only place where I feel like he might get a chance at. That's
another guy WWE missed on. Like I never understood why they never let him just speak, and they always just wanted EC3 to wrestle. Shout out to EC3. We went to the same high school. He came out the year before me. But I just feel like I think Vince had too many wrestlers at his disposal also.
But also Vince likes to punish people who leave, become successful, and then come back. So that's what I feel like happened to him.
Because he took off like
he was. If it wasn't for TNA, we would have never saw EC3 again.
Never. And he just thrilled over there because they allowed him to be himself. So
yeah.
But that's wrestling in a nutshell, though, man. I think WrestleMania was good. I enjoyed it. It made me kind of want to start watching wrestling again, but I was like, I don't know if I could go through the trials and tribulations of being disappointed with characters. Because when you're younger, you just in it for the love. I'm too old to watch something I don't like.
Yeah, truly, if you're going to get back into wrestling, just watch AEW.
I do watch it sometimes because Chris Jericho makes me laugh. And I like that. Oh, before we stop, Orange Cassidy is the best gimmick in wrestling. That's better than Roman's bloodline.
By far.
I don't know if they have championship aspirations for this dude, but whatever he's doing is great.
I don't think they do, but they just know he's the most over. You gotta realize, like, to really do that shit, how athletic you have to be. Like, think about doing flips with your hands in your pockets. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, I can barely roll out of bed with my hands in my pockets, let alone a flip
With sunglasses on.
with sunglasses on.
And he never misses a beat. He's got it.
Never.
He's got it.
He has it. He's our age. He's a little older, so I mean, we'll see what happens. Well, he's also small, so like, you can put a mid card belt on him. Like, he could be a TNT champion.
Is Scorpio Sky still TNT champion?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it since he won, but I just want to see if they're developing him as a single star because I think he can wrestle. They're not.
He can, but no. I don't know what the issue with Scorpio is, but he's just there. I feel like he's just the champion just to put Sammy Guevara over, get him over some more. Which is the funny thing is that the fans are turning on him because of his whole situation with Ty Conti. Because how he broke off his engagement with his fiance, and then like 2 months later, he announced his relationship with Ty Conti when people are already suspecting that they were together.
Wait a minute, who is Ty Conti? Let me look that up real fast while we're talking. Ty Conti. That sounds familiar.
She's a looker. She used to be at NXT. She wasn't getting no push. She came over to AEW. She worked her ass off. She's decent.
Oh, she's not bad.
Yeah, I want to say she's Brazilian or something. She does jiu-jitsu, judo.
Oh, yeah, she's Brazilian. I see the flag and whatnot. Yeah, man, I'll just tell somebody, we keep getting sidetracked. That's the same thing with Edge and Lita. Like, Matt goes home, and I'm on a roll with Edge every day. I'm riding with her. I'm going to develop something with her. If I'm not an ultra faithful person, I'm going to develop something with these people. And so...
even if you are, you got to realize, like, you're not a wrestler yourself. You're going to develop a relationship with somebody. Like these people are surrounded by these people 10 hours a day, 4 or 5 days out the week. What's going to happen? You're going to find you get bored during tapings. Y'all going to start talking about shit, and then they're like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. You're a pretty cool person.
Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah.
It's just bound to happen.
A lot of these wrestlers, like, think about it. Keith Lee and Mia Yim, they knew each other due to wrestling. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you develop, relationships. Like, a lot of these wrestlers are married to other wrestlers because they both know the industry and they know how risky it could be if you dating somebody normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And just like you said, someone who knows the grind and you can deal with and you can be with. So since this is your first time on the podcast, it would behoove me if I don't ask my $1 million question, because it is called Conversation with a Cancer. And I always want to know, what are people's experience with the cancer? So do you have any experience with a cancer, man or woman, boy or girl, teacher, student, anybody?
Some of my closest friends are cancers.
Okay.
I dated a cancer for an extended period of time.
Okay.
So, I got nothing but high praise for cancers. They are my favorite type of people, low key. I'm not even gonna lie. Friendship wise, I'm a rock with cancers all the time. I haven't been done wrong by cancer in any type of way, so like, they good in my book. My ex, she was great. No hard feelings.
Okay.
I would never say nothing bad about her. So,
hey, shout out to the cancers that impacted your life.
Yeah, no, they good. Cancer's good people with me.
Okay. So the last thing I want to discuss is as wrestling fans, we always have an idea of what we would like to see. Is there a match? It could be one match, it could be multiple matches. Is there something you need to see going forward before the next WrestleMania?
Ooh, before the next WrestleMania. No. Before the next WrestleMania, no, I don't have no real matches I need to see. But I need, in some shape or form, Bianca versus Jade. I just need it. I need it.
Right, it's never going to happen.
And
I'm gonna tell you why.
Oh no, trust me, I know.
It's never going to happen, but not for the reason you're thinking. And I think Jay, because when Cody and Brandy left, Jay said they're the reason why she's wrestling because they developed her and they would help her. And I think, like you said, Jade is getting better, and Tony knows she might be the biggest women wrestler we got. I'm glad they got Tony Storm because Tony Storm can wrestle her ass off. That's a true wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
But Tony missed the mark of Britt Baker versus Jade. Like, you should have had a champion versus champion. You should have did it at least once, even though nobody won. You missed it. So now you got that one chick, Thunder Rose. She's not big like Britt. Like, I think you just missed it. And so,
but down the line, you still can have Britt versus Jade. So I'm not worried about that. I know the match will never happen unless, they become into a working agreement. Like, hey, let's put on the biggest professional wrestling sports entertainment show of all time. But that's my dream match, honestly. I'm not about match work rates. I ain't about five-star matches, but that's the match I want to see because like I know I'm never going to see it, or when I do, it's going to be like Hogan and Ric Flair when we saw it in WCW when we should have saw it in WWF. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just one of those things. Like when we see it, when we eventually do get that match, they're going to be in their like 40s. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're still gonna be gorgeous, but still, they ain't gonna be prime. Well, you gotta realize Bianca is like 32.
Yeah, I didn't like Lita coming back wrestling. She didn't seem fluid at all, but I understand why she did it.
But there's also the change in wrestling, so that also contributes to it.
And Jade reminds me of Chyna and Jacqueline. Like Jade embodies like a Chyna physique. And she has the aggression of a Jacqueline, but she's learning how to wrestle. Yeah. Like, so I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know if I have a dream match or a match that I need to see, but I want to happen over this next year in wrestling is at some point you put CM Punk in the title picture. I like MGF a lot because he talks well. I don't know how good he wrestles yet. He's
a solid in ring. But no, yeah, he's the. If he gets hurt, he ain't got nothing to worry about because they're gonna still use him on the mic.
Right. And in WWE, whoever you put against Roman, make it meaningful. Like Brock is done. Yeah. That's done. Make Roman have meaningful, memorable matches. Because through his run, I can't tell you a memorable Roman match. He doesn't have one. He hasn't had a classic yet. He's got some classic opponents. No, yeah. Maybe that match he just had with Seth. Maybe that's kind of, but because of the storyline. But
that wasn't even a classic match. It was a classic moment because Seth got under his skin, he put on the Shield outfit, came out to the Shield music. That was a moment. The triple threat match was Edge and Daniel Bryan. He stacked them. That was memorable because he also told us the week before, I'm going to stack them, pin them. And I'm like, you ain't going to do that shit. And lo and behold, he actually did it. So, that's the type of shit. There's no, but the issue is there isn't anybody that is going to give him a 5-star match. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
he's just going to have to do what he keep doing.
Before I let you go, I get clowned for this. I think you clowned me for this. Is Xavier Woods gonna get the belt? Like, isn't that the whole point of winning? Can't get a ring? Like you gave it to two of them, you're not gonna give it to the third?
Okay, so for two reasons. One, I don't think he wants it because his dream. I don't because his dream was to win the King of the Ring. He knows he's not main event status. He knows this. He's okay with being where he's at. So for them, the other reason, they already took the crown off of him. Because remember, he was just hurt, and then when he came back, he was back to being Xavier Woods. Whereas when he won the King of the Ring, he was King Woods. He had the crown, he had the whole situation, but then at WrestleMania, he was back to being Xavier Woods. You know,
okay, we're
they
gonna
don't see it in him. He's great, trust me. But let's be real. We got lucky to get Kofi. Hell, we got lucky to get Big E.
I didn't like Big E's title run.
We knew.
Because telling us you about to win the belt wasn't exciting. And then you had to beat Bobby for it. I didn't like that. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
The way to me it was an appreciation run. It was a thank you run. Thank you for being loyal. Thank you for sticking with us. But was it a sincere title? Like here, you earned this now. You know what I'm saying? It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like Bobby's. It didn't feel like Kofi's.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like Roman's, to be truthful. It just felt like here, nigga, you've been down here.
And he's beloved.
You're a champion.
He's beloved. Paul Heyman said he wants to see him main event WrestleMania. Randy Orton said it so he's beloved backstage. They really like Big E.
He is beloved, but like Paul Heyman was one of his biggest fans. I mean, he still is, but now my worry is what's going to happen when he comes back.
Mine's too. I'm scared for him.
I'm scared for him in the sense of, are they going to book him in a way that he should be booked, or are they going to book him in a mid-card role? That's my fear.
They already threw him back in the mid-card after he lost the belt. They put him right back in. He said it himself. He said, I didn't think I was going to go back being with the New Day. He said, I didn't foresee that. So he's going back mid-card. Yeah. There's no way around it, but
Yeah. And that sucks.
I would like to say thank you for coming on and do this with me. I appreciate I know you're an even bigger wrestling fan than me because I fell off. I'm a fair weather wrestling fan at this point. I watch it when I want to watch it. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. That's about it. So I appreciate your time and your energy, man. I know you're someone I can count on when I want to talk about this. So I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, you're welcome, man. Anytime you want to talk about it, I'm here.
Yeah, man, we definitely going to have to figure out what we want to talk about on part 2, because there's some other things like I want to talk about, our history of wrestling, what was our favorite time and things of that nature, man. So what's more stuff we got to do, man? We got to get our other homie on here too, man. I haven't reached out to him, but he ain't been online in a while either. I ain't seen him in a minute.
Who, Megzron?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You've been busy with work and, kids and,
right.
Family life.
Right.
Because he got some things he's working on.
Yeah, he's got his own podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he did. So, yeah, man. So, like I said, I appreciate it, man. Stay mindfully healthy and free, man. Like, hey, man. I know I enjoy every day, homies. Anytime you want to talk or another outlet, man, I'm here for you. I'm a person who had a therapist for 3 years, so I know how important it is to just have an outlet and someone to speak to, man. So just stay healthy mentally, man, and continue to take care of them kids, because you sound like you got a letter over there. A letter.
Yeah. It's a gang on. I tell my wife, man, we got a rotation. Man.
Oh wow.
We got a playoff rotation of kids.
Mm.
Yeah, man, it's 7, so I got my starting 5, and I got 2 coming off the bench. That's how I look at it.
You could play half court, 3-on-3 at this point.
Dog. Yeah. I mean, once kids start to be able to, yeah, we definitely could.
Okay. Well, like I said, man, I appreciate it. I'll let you know when it's coming out. I usually put them out on Fridays, but I'm not gonna stay up and edit it tonight. So I'll let you know when it's coming out, man. And like always, man, I look forward to the conversations that we had and the things that you got going and not going on, and we just share them, man. So just stay positive, and you good people. So I appreciate you.
Oh man, thank you, man. I'm gonna stay up though, and we're gonna stay in contact, man.
Definitely, man. Especially since we not far in proximity either, man. But like I always end up all my podcasts, man. Stay COVID safe, wear your mask if you want to, and eat more chicken.
Will do, man.
All right, peace.